Yo, what's up guys? It's XRAYZ and welcome to a new episode of Gaming Nightmares. Now in the last episode we actually covered XRAYZ, which was a supercomputer that was getting taken over by a virus of some sort, or who knows, maybe it was some kind of ancient spirit. Now if you guys want to check that one out, a link to that will be down in the description below, and there will also be an annotation on screen to the full playlist. Also guys, if you guys are new and you enjoy these kinds of gaming nightmares, urban legends, creepy myths, then make sure to subscribe so that you guys won't miss any more of these episodes in the future. And of course, if you're enjoying this series, as always, the support is greatly appreciated. Make sure to slap a like and a favorite on the video. It does get it out there, helps my channel grow. And let's try to get 300 likes, guys. I know you guys can do it. It would be amazing. And today we're actually going to be talking about Silent Hill 2 and the Silent Hill curse. Now this is one that actually was suggested to me by one of my viewers on Twitter. Big shout out to him. And we're going to be covering this pretty short but pretty weird story. Now with that said, let's jump straight into the story. Now the story actually covers our main protagonist, who again does not have a name. Most of these stories are usually given from a first person, kind of view, so they don't really go into names and stuff like that. So we're going to call him Henry. Henry was at a local garage sale and he ended up finding a copy of Silent Hill 2. He grabbed the game, he actually looked at it front and back. It was a little bit damaged, the cover, and then he looked at the game, making sure there weren't too many scratches on the game, and he actually found out that it was in perfect condition. There was no scratches on the game, which is pretty rare for, a game that's for PlayStation 2, and that basically disc games get scratched up really quickly, so it was really surprising that this had no scratches at all, and it looked like it was getting really taken care of. So as he's looking at it, he looks over to find the man who, is doing the garage sale. Is a big, tough-looking guy, and he looks at him. They look at each other, they have like a moment of eye contact, and he looks at him. He's like, can I help you with anything? And he's like, yeah, I found this game. And they go into a story about how he says that he had many nights where the game just scared the crap out of him. Just the way that Silent Hill is, it's a very scary game. So he's telling him, I had a lot of really awesome nights playing this game. Why don't you just go ahead and just take the game? I'm not even going to charge you for it. You're just going to keep it. Go ahead and take it if you want it. And he's happy. He thanks him. He gets his information. He gets his phone number if he has any more questions for garage sales and stuff in the future. So they trade contact information, and he ends up going home. And the reason that he actually was looking for a scary game, or just games in general, was because he was going to have a horror night with his friends, and we're going to bring some scary movies. They were going to play some scary video games and just kind of stay up late, watching creepy stuff and movies and playing games and stuff. And so he meets up with his friends. So they start off by watching The Grudge, and they end up finishing the movie, and they're like, that was kind of creepy. How about we take something a little less creepy than that? So they end up watching some of the crappier Halloween, just crappier horror movies. They're just laughing at them and having a good time. So Jeff and Howard, who were the ones who brought the other stuff, Jeff bringing The Grudge and Howard bringing over the crappy horror pack, him, Jeff, Howard, and Henry all decide that they're going to start playing this game, and they actually end up taking turns. So anyways, Jeff, Howard, and Henry decide to pop in the game and get started. Henry is actually the first one to start up. He puts in the game, he starts playing it, makes it all the way to Blue Creek's apartment. Howard plays next. He plays all the way halfway through the hospital. And then Jeff is the last one to play, and as he's playing, finishing up the hospital area of the game and starts going underground, the game actually just ends up crapping out. The console turns off, and at this point they're just kind of like, whoa, what the hell happened? They take it as what it is. They decide that this is it. They start, hugging each other, saying goodbye to each other. They had a great night, all full of creepiness and stuff. And so they all each take their way back, and Henry at this point is just at home, just kind of sitting on the couch, looking at his PS2 controller. It's still off. He wasn't sure what exactly happened, but he's just kind of looking at it, kind of reminiscing with the past that he's had with video gaming and just the PS2 in general. At this point, he was sure that the PS2 was off. It had kind of just abruptly shut off, and the screen turned back on, and it's back to Silent Hill. Only this time, it looks like our main character is just kind of sitting in a cell, which is kind of weird, not something that you would typically see in the game. So it cuts to James actually on the screen, and he's just kind of sitting down on a bed underground, something where you don't normally start. It's like an underground prison. And so he's just kind of shaking his head, James, the character from the game, and you can hear screams all around him. And, his character suddenly says, "Why was I left to die?" And he's just kind of asking himself, very scared. So Henry reaches over to his PS2 and finds out that it's actually on. He examines his controller, presses down firmly on the control stick, just kind of moving it around. And he found out that he was actually able to control the character. And at this point, James, the character from Silent Hill, ends up saying finally, and it comes up to him, the character just saying finally, and so he's not freaked out by that. Some games do that whenever you take a while and you're not using the game, it'll go through like an animation. Mario games do it, and so he heard this, he heard the character saying finally. He thought it was just something in the game that happens once you actually start using the controller again, and he thought it was pretty cool. So he goes through the motions, he starts playing again, and he realizes that he's stuck inside this cell. So he's trying to find a way to get out of the cell. He found that the door to the cell was locked, and that there was no way to get out. So he turns over to his bed, he notices there's an item laying there. He picks it up, and it's just James' old flashlight. He turns around, and he finds the Pyramid Head looking at James, which is one of these scary bosses in the game. He turns around to Pyramid Head, looks at him, he's looking at him through these bars, and James just kind of jumps back against the wall, and he's trying to get as much distance as he can from the Pyramid Monster, at which point the Pyramid Monster starts trying to claw his way in. He's trying to break these bars down, and he's just, at this point, Henry's just kind of freaking out. This is not a part of the game, not something that he's usually used to. He thinks maybe someone's hacking it, maybe it's a glitcher, someone who did this to the game on purpose, and he's just kind of scared there for a second. And just as it's about to happen, just as the Pyramid Monster is about to break in and kill James, the main character of the game, he just reaches over to his PS2 and he turns it off. He's scared. This is something, again, that he's never seen in the game before. His character started talking out of character, saying, "Why was I left here so long? It's too late." Just weird quotes that you would normally not expect from James, as this monster's clawing at him. And he decides to just kind of relax, take it easy, and he decides not to play this game anymore. So the following day, he calls this guy who sold him the game, and he asks him, he's like, it started acting weird, I don't know what's going on, I think it might just be a glitch in the game. At which point, the guy who sold him the game, the seller, the garage seller, tells him, you have to beat the game by 12 tonight, you have to beat the game by 12 tonight. And he's asking him, like, well, why do I have to do it, why do I have to do it? And the guy just kind of acts like he's not hearing him, he's going back to his work and stuff. And so he finally decides, well, fine, I'll beat the game by 12 o'clock, either way, I was going to play the game all night. And either way, I guess it would be kind of fun to put like a time constraint on myself. So he goes home, he starts playing the game again, pops it in, and he realizes again that it's kind of glitched out. It's weird. And it seems like it's back to normal, but at the same time it's not. He's stuck on the roof of the hospital this time around, and there's no way to get out. So he's like on top of the roof of the hospital. He goes to the door, it's locked. He turns around again to see if there's any other way to get off the roof, and he ends up seeing the Pyramid Monster. He starts hearing him, kind of crawling around, and finally it sneaks up on James, grabs him by the neck, and just snaps his neck and kills him, which again is something that you don't normally see in the game. So once again he does that, he reaches over, turns off the PS2, turns it back on to play it again, and this time he's determined, I gotta pass this game by 12, no more screwing around. So he turns it back on, and the game actually starts playing normal again. He ends up beating the game. He starts going through, the end cutscene where they're, in the car leaving Silent Hill. And, as they're leaving, going through this ending cutscene, James is leaving with Laura, who's in the passenger seat. They're not saying anything, which again, it's kind of weird at this point, because normally there's dialogue going on at the end, at least maybe even a narrator who's talking. And, there's nothing going on. It's just them driving, and then suddenly there's a loud bang that he hears from the car. He gets out of the car, he has like a pocket knife. He goes to the back, opens the trunk, there's like this weird, just like a weird brown bag, and he just starts stabbing the bag for no apparent reason, just like this sack. And he stabs it quickly, and then he goes back into the car, and they drive off again. So at this point, this is something that's not in the game. He's just like, well, what the hell is this? And he doesn't really mind it too much. He looks over to the clock to see what time it is, and he realizes that it is 2 minutes before midnight. He passed the game by 12. He's happy he made it. And so he contacts again the person who sold him the game. They meet up at a local burger joint. He kind of waves him over, and he tells him, I did it. I beat the game by 12. And at which point, the person who sold him the game shakes his head. He threw a piece of paper down, and he said, not quite. Henry's not sure what's going on, and he says, before you read this, let me tell you that what you played last night was not a mere game. It was cursed. At this point, Henry's like, what is this guy talking about? And then the guy says, did you notice anything strange about it? Henry says, yeah, lots of things. Figured someone had just hacked the game or something. At which point, the person who sold him the game also says, yeah, I did too. I never should have given you that game. And then he just kind of gets off his seat and he leaves. To which point, Henry looks at the paper and it's a headline. And it says, 2 local boys found dead. One appeared to have been stabbed multiple times and then drowned in a small county pond. The other seemed to have had his neck snapped. but were found just behind the Welcome to Cherrywood road sign. But anyways, guys, that is the end of this creepypasta. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you guys did, make sure again to support it by leaving a like and a favorite. It gets content out there, helps my channel grow. And of course, if you guys are new and you want to see even more videos like this, more creepy gaming nightmares, more urban legends, myths, creepypastas, then make sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss any content in the future, guys. But until next time, thanks again so much for watching. I'm XRAYZ. I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe, and keep having nightmares.